Welcome to the Relationship Rehab Podcast. I'm Sammy, a certified breakup and relationship coach, attachment specialist, former love addict, and spiritual junkie. This podcast is for you, the hopeless romantic who loves to love, and a safe space for us to explore and heal our attachment trauma, broken hearts, and love addictions. Together, we are on a mission to become the love of our own lives so we can have successful, healthy, secure relationships with others. So if you're ready to create a life and love beyond your wildest desires, you're in the right place. Your journey towards becoming more secure in love and life starts now. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the Relationship Rehab. And if you're new here, my name is Sammy. I'm an attachment specialist and relationship coach. And today we are diving into one of my favorite topics of all, which is detachment. But before we get into this juicy episode, I just wanted to unapologetically plug in my free masterclass that is coming up on September the 22nd called How to Master the Art of Detachment in Dating. So if you're here to learn all about attachment, I promise you it's coming up. But if you want to dive in deep and you want to get in now and secure your spot, then the link is in the show notes below. We're going to go through all things detachment on a deeper level and show you some practices of how you can start to implement that into your dating life and relationships. So without further ado, let's crack on. But quick little update. I've just come back from gorgeous Italy. Oh, guys, if you haven't been to Italy, put it on your bucket list. It is phenomenal there. I think I would even go as far as saying it is my favorite country in Europe. I was there with my brothers and it was just the most beautiful week, connecting, laughing, eating, just being completely present in the moment, in the experience, forming core memories. So it was just such a joy, such a dream to be there. And now I've come back and it's freezing. It's so cold here in Wales. Oh, I'm looking outside the window right now. It's pouring down. My hands are numb. I can't deal with the cold. I just cannot. I've actually pushed back my flight 2 weeks more so I can spend a little bit more time with my family here. A little part of me is regretting it, but not really. I'll soon be back in sunny Thailand and the cold will be a distant memory. But all right, let's get going. Detachment. So this concept, this law, this theory has really supported me in life, but especially my relationships. I've been practicing detachment for a while now. As most of you know, I moved out to Thailand nearly 9 years ago now. And they really embody what detachment really means. And they have this concept, it's called sabai sabai. And it just means go with the flow. It means chill. It means have no expectations and just be present with what is. And they coupled with the law of impermanence, which is also applicable in the Buddhist culture of meaning nothing lasts forever, nothing is truly yours. So they release the attachment to things, to objects, to outcomes, to people, and they are just really present with what is. And it was so interesting to experience this living in that country because, for example, if the bus didn't turn up on time, it's like, oh, sabai, the bus will come. It's like this knowingness, deep knowing that the bus will come. Don't stress. Don't worry. Chill. It comes. It may not come when you expect it to. And I think a lot of us Westerners fall into that trap of just getting really annoyed and frustrated that something isn't going the way that we want it to. We are attached to something going the way we want it to. Whereas they are able to release that. And I just found it such a beautiful way to live. And when I lived with my Thai family, for example, material things, there's no such thing as your things and my things. It's everyone's things and we can all share and we can all use things. And I had just full access to my Thai sister's wardrobe. She just had no attachment to her clothes, for example, and food, just small things like that. It was really interesting to be a part of that. So I started to implement that into my own life with the small things, like releasing the outcome of the bus turning up, or how things are going to flow throughout the day. And then gradually I started to integrate it more into relationships, because at the end of the day, when we're dealing with an anxious attachment style, it's easier said than done to just be like, just don't worry about it. Don't think about it. Just let it go. And I'm going to get into a little bit about the toxic outlook of what people sometimes perceive detachment to be. But I really had to implement this when I went through an episode of infatuation. I met a guy when I was living in Nepal, and I'm pretty sure it was the first time that I had the experience of what it means to be infatuated and obsessed with someone. Because before then, I was in the relationship, but I don't think I was ever obsessed with them. It was more, I had them, whereas this guy, I did not. So I really badly wanted it to work out the way that I wanted it to go, which is I wanted to be with this guy. But I pretty much on the avoidance side, and I didn't like that. I wanted him to be a certain way. I wanted him to show up a certain way. And when he didn't, it just made me feel very anxious. But instead of taking a step back and being like, is this something that I really want to invite into my life? I just completely ignored all those signs, completely abandoned myself, and kept on chasing. And I just wasn't present with who he was and what he could offer me in that moment. Instead, I was so caught up in worrying about the future. Oh my gosh, how can I make it happen that I can stay in Nepal for the rest of my life so I can be with this guy? I was changing my plans for him. I was just constantly trying to control the way that this relationship was going, instead of really enjoying it for what it was, all it was really was an experience. I wanted it to be something more when it never could have been. So I would just continue to worry. And this energy of anxiety and infatuation, obsessiveness of wanting to control and manipulate the outcome, of course, he felt that energy and he pulled away. He was like, whoa, this is actually not something that I'm looking to invite into my own life. And of course, that brings more anxiety then to my experience, and it just goes from there. So it was coming out of that experience and I had to really sit with a lot of things that came up during that time, and it was COVID time as well, so it was just all spiraling everywhere for me. And then I started to really integrate what the law of detachment means when I start dating and get into relationships again. So it's been an interesting journey, and it's good to do this now, to really reflect on my journey now and to talk to you guys about this, because now I'm dating again, and it's so wonderful to observe myself in this connection in such a detached way. Meaning, like I said, I'm getting to the meaning of unhealthy detachment and healthy detachment. But I see this a lot with the life that I'm living. I travel a lot. I'm pretty much a digital nomad. And when you are someone who is not in a place for a long period of time, you kind of have to practice detachment, because you meet someone you really like, but you know that you're leaving in a month, and you really do have to be like, all right, let me enjoy this time with you. Let me have a beautiful experience with you. Let me release expectations and outcomes. Express what I desire, absolutely. But how can I be more present in the moment without worrying about when I have to leave in a month's time? And really giving that space to invite in trust that what will be, and what is for you will be for you, and it will not leave you. It will not pass. Really putting that trust in the universe, into God, that if this person is meant to be in my life, if this is my next husband, I don't have to worry, because it will all unfold as it should. I think a lot of the times when we meet someone that we really like, we want it to happen so quickly because we're afraid of losing this connection that we think in the moment is so rare and so special, when the reality of it is we probably have just met them and we need to give that space to get to know them, to let it breathe. Like I said, easier said than done. So as I continue to embody what detachment means for me in my own life, this is how I see it. Detachment, it feels like surrender. It feels like just releasing, expansion, having that faith and trust in something greater than you, knowing that you are a co-creator in this universe, that it's safe to lean back, but also lead with love and intuition, knowing that you are guided, that you don't have to be in a space where you have to worry or control. And it's a little bit like being in a canoe. When you imagine being in a canoe, when you detach from the outcome and for controlling and manipulating something, you're moving with the current, you're moving with the flow of the river. You're focusing on what you can control, which is yourself, your movements, how you feel, your vehicle, which could be life. And you have a knowing in your own ability that you can hold yourself through any storms, any currents, any mishaps, any challenges. But you know, there's this deep knowingness that you are going to get to where you want to be. And you can only do so much to get to make that happen. You have to release the rest of it and give it up to God or the universe, trusting that that river is going to take you where you need to go, whether it's something that you intentionally manifest or better. An attachment can feel the opposite. It can feel like a contraction, like holding on to something so tightly, being really hypervigilant, worrying, waiting, ruminating, and being completely preoccupied with the journey. And we're leading with a sense of fear. We're uncertain. It doesn't feel safe to let go. We're not trusting in the journey. We're trying to control the journey, and we're going against the tide. We're going against the current and trying to control the river, if you will. And this is exhausting. And we end up feeling really burnt out, especially in the dating world. I see this all the time with people where they're just exhausted. They're exhausted trying to make things happen for themselves. They're meeting someone, it's not going the way they wanted to, and they feel disappointed. They're rejected. They're saying things like, well, this is never going to happen for me. There must be something wrong with me. There must be something wrong with them, with the world. And they're completely preoccupied with the journey and wanting it to go a certain way, rather than relaxing and being excited and open to any experiences and opportunities that come their way. And I know dating apps have really fueled this as well, because they have really set up a platform that encourages us to try and control this, encourages us to lean into that masculine energy of, if I just do this, then I'm going to get what I want. I'm going to get the outcome that I want, rather than expressing a desire and allowing it to unfold the way that it needs to unfold. So let's take a look at why detachment is actually really, really difficult for someone with an anxious attachment style. And sometimes we can get caught up with messages like, just don't think about them. Just put your phone on airplane mode. Just go out there and distract yourself. Just go and be with someone else so you don't think about them. And this can be super unhealthy and toxic, because it's not that easy for us to just forget about it and not think and not do anything about it, because we get attached quickly, because we feel a certain way when we are dating someone. It gives us that something that we're yearning for, that we haven't been able to access in ourselves quite yet. And with an anxious attachment style, we normally hold big abandonment wounds and rejection wounds and beliefs that we're not good enough. And we're often looking outside of ourselves for what we're yearning for, which may be love, connection, belonging, worthiness, a sense of meaning, a sense of value, a sense of significance. So when we haven't been able to access that within ourselves yet, then of course we're going to look outside of ourselves. We haven't worked out yet how to access that. And until we do, we're going to constantly seek externally for these things. So this is what gives us this preoccupation and quick attachment to people, because they're making us feel a certain way that we're not able to access within ourselves. So sometimes it's not even about the person themselves, it's how they make us feel. It's how the connection that we're forming with this person is going against some of the beliefs that we might hold about ourselves, which is that we're not good enough, that we're not worthy, that might come back in another time and sabotage the relationship. But in the moment, we have this person who is giving us attention and love and validation. So of course we want to hold on to that. Of course we want things to go the way that we want them to. And another thing about the anxiously attached individual is the more they feel in control of something, the safer it feels. If they can control or manipulate just being a word, no negative label to that, things a certain way, they can predict the outcome. Therefore, they feel safe. They know that they are going to get that safety, that reassurance, that security, that certainty that they're craving from that relationship. Because we put relationships on a pedestal. It's the thing that we want most of all, because that's what we love to love, and relationships is what life is about. And if we can have that beautiful relationship, then everything in life is just going to be amazing. I can tackle anything. So I want this to go that way. And when we bring in childhood things as well, we have adopted certain coping mechanisms as a child in order to receive the love and attention that we needed as children. We adopted a way of thinking, if I do this, then I'll get that. And I think it's easy for securely attached people to be like, just don't worry about it. Like, just lean back and have that trust and have that faith. Because it wasn't safe to do that as a child. If you were anxiously attached, it wasn't safe to just trust that you'll receive that love, because it never came. It only came in a conditional way. If I acted a certain way, if I was perfect, if I did something good, then I'm going to receive praise and love. If I perform and prove my worth to my caregiver or parent, then I will receive love. And we've adopted those mechanisms and taken them into our adult relationships. We've had to fight for it. We've had to prove ourselves. We've had to soak up those breadcrumbs and beg for more, because it was a conditional exchange. So it's about completely unbecoming that, rewiring our attachment system so it does feel safe to receive. So it does feel safe to just lean back and know that God and the universe is supporting us in our journey. So I was scrolling on TikTok just earlier to see what people are saying about detachment and what type of content is out there that people are accessing. And I came across this one video that was a little bit disturbing, and I'm like, this is not good. There's a lot of people that are really lapping up this message. And basically the message was about detachment, meaning just don't care. When you care less about others and you're all about yourself, then people will become obsessed with you. And I'm like, whoa, like that's not a good way to practice detachment, because what she is implying is when you completely remove yourself and you completely detach your emotions and your feelings and yourself from a connection, then they will chase you. And in one way, she is right. But these type of people that are chasing you, when you completely pull away in an unhealthy, detached way, they are also They are also navigating this dating dynamic from an unhealthy way. There's then what will start to happen is this push-pull between you both. So detachment doesn't mean that we just don't care less. It means separating how we feel from the outcome and releasing expectations. Like I said, we can have a desired outcome, but we can still allow it to unfold the way that it will be. So this message that she was saying was just ringing alarm bells to me. It's game playing, it's manipulation, it's trying to control how someone feels. It's detaching from a space of wanting a certain response, expecting a certain response from that other person. Oh, I want them to be obsessed with me, then I'll just treat them mean, keep them keen. When that's not what it's all about. What you're doing in that moment, you're triggering their wounds of not being good enough or rejection. That's not a healthy foundation if you're trying to build a relationship with this person. And you're going to get trapped in those toxic cycles. And when you give out the energy of becoming emotionally unavailable, you are going to attract that, not secure, available partners. And you're feeding your ego along with it all as well. So when she was saying, when you completely remove yourself, that person's going to put you on a pedestal and adore you. This is feeding the ego. Again, not a healthy dynamic if you're trying to build a relationship. It's encouraging you to completely shut yourself down emotionally and only focus on you and become completely self-centered. And this is encouraging you to implement avoidance strategies as a way to protect yourself from any possible rejection or abandonment from this person. And I'm sure she meant well by the message that she was saying. And parts of it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that was great. You know, about really coming back to yourself and making you the center of your own world again. It was all great in that regard. But what we don't want to do is tip into those avoidant strategies, because avoidance have an unhealthy, detached sense of being in relationships. They are completely disconnected from their emotions and their feelings because of the fear of intimacy that they hold. Getting too close and getting vulnerable is a really scary thing, so they keep you at arm's length. What we don't want to happen is you swinging into that camp, because you're just going from one insecure attachment style to the other. And wherever you are is just not being able to form that healthy attachment. So all healthy detachment really means, it's not about not caring. It's not about being mean to people or trying to control anything. It's really detaching from the outcome, detaching from trying to control the outcome. So when we meet someone that we really like, yes, it's great to have a desire, an intention for how you want to be in that connection with this person. You can say, oh, it would be so wonderful if we could work towards a relationship, a serious relationship. But I need to give that space to discern whether this is the right person for that. Because if we fall into premature attachment, we're not able to give ourselves that space to discern whether this is the person for that. So we can always have that desire for ourselves, but not try to manipulate certain connections to go that way or change people. If only they change this about themselves, then I can get what I want. It's not about that. It's about holding your desires, but also being present in all the different connections that you're making in your life. So when you start to form a more secure attachment, or earn secure attachment, as I like to see it, when you're coming out of an anxious or an avoidant attachment, you are able to connect fully, authentically, and with presence, without thinking about the future, without putting all your eggs in their basket and making them or the relationship mean something that they're not. I know for me, when I would meet someone that I really liked, I'm like, oh my God, please let this work out. And I would be imagining our future together, trying out my first name next to their surname, imagining the wedding that we would have, what our kids would look like, what my life would look like. I'm starting to fall into those fantasies. And then the behavior that I would start to see was like I was almost treating this connection like a long-term relationship and having these certain expectations that were quite unhealthy, that they should just be constantly available for me all the time because I was constantly available for them. And I'm starting to make my plans around them and things like that. Whereas when you're able to healthily detach, you can be more present, knowing that you are feeling secure within yourself. You know your worth, you know your value. You don't have to prove yourself to them. You don't have to show them in any way. You know your worth and value, and that's all that matters. Whether they see it or not is on them, whether they are meant for you. So when you were leading with that type of energy, you're able to just focus on yourself and continue with your life and continue formulating your sense of self, but also having that open heart to authentically connect to that person. So in my example, meeting this wonderful person, but knowing that I'm leaving to go to Thailand in 2 weeks, it's quite exciting in a way, because it's like, yeah, I'm I am leaving it up to the universe and to God in a way. It's like, okay, God, this is on you. Like, I'm not changing my plans or my life to evolve around this person, and I wouldn't expect him to either. But if we wanted to be together, we can always take intuitive action. So if he then intuitively thought, I would love to go to Thailand to spend time with her, great. Or if I had that intuitive feeling in action, if I want to go back to the UK, spend time with him, amazing. But it's not quite there yet. I'm not going to force it. I wouldn't want him to force it. Instead, we're leaving it up to the universe. And there's something quite exciting in that, because we're I don't want to use the word challenging, but it kind of is. We're challenging the universe to take the wheel, to release this, to continue with our lives of what we've already formed for ourselves, but also allowing ourselves to be surprised in the way that the universe works as it does. And when it does surprise you, it's such a great feeling, because it can confirm that it is safe to detach and release. So detachment also requires that trust in divine timing. So let's say in my situation, we meet, great connection, we get on well, but it's not the right time. Again, another thing that's up for debate, right? Whether that's actually a concept. I do believe it. Sometimes it's not the right time. Sometimes we make the connection in order for it to come back around in our lives at a later time. Everything is unfolding the way that it should be in your life. And when you really have that trust that everything that is happening for you is for a reason, and not to try and force that, is such a beautiful way to live. So just having that deep sense of knowing that everything is working out for you, just like being in the bus stop in Thailand. I know this bus is coming. I don't need to stress. It's just not quite here yet. And there's nothing that I can do to make it go faster. I know it's coming. How can I relax in the present moment with that knowing that is coming? And maybe that starts there for you. Really working with that trust in yourself, in God, and relaxing in your nervous system, in your life, and being able to come back to your present moment. So the last thing I will say about detachment is it's a feminine energy as well when you think about it, because to become attached to something, it's quite results focused, right? You're trying to get a certain result. The perfectionism starts to come in. You want to be able to achieve something, right? So in many ways, it has a very masculine energy attached to it. Going back on how we were able to adopt those coping mechanisms, that if I do this, then I'm going to get that. A lot of us live our lives that way, especially if you have a business. If I do this, then I'm going to get this result. And we're not being present with the process and the journey and enjoying it even. We're just too focused on getting that certain result and outcome. Whereas to be detached, whether it's in business or in love, is to be with the process, to be with the journey and enjoy it. And enjoy it. So this feminine energy when we think about it in the form of detachment, it's rooted in intuition and pure desire. So I really want a healthy, gorgeous, incredible relationship. I'm going to tap into my intuition and take action from that space. And this could look like, I'm going to reach out to this person, but I'm going to reach out to this person because I want to express that I want to see them. Or I want to express that I've been thinking about them. And I'm going to release all types of expectation from that. I also have another connection in my life with another man who we practice detachment in the most wonderful way, because we met years ago and we have a lot of love for each other, but our lives are not intertwining right now. But often, now and again, we will reach out to each other just to let each other know that we're thinking about them. We're sending prayers, we're sending love, we're sending light. And I know that can sound a bit woo-woo, but it's just a lovely thing to receive without making it mean anything than it is. I'm not about to be like, okay, well, if you loved me like you said you would, then you would make it happen that we are in a serious relationship, because that's not what our connection is supposed to be. Instead, I can receive the love that he is sending me, and I can send it back if I feel like it's the right thing to do. So to lead with that feminine energy is to know that the action that you're taking is coming from a space of authenticity and showing up as your most truest, authentic, secure self, and not from a space of wanting and needing or desperation. And not being afraid of rejection, not trying to fit up like a square peg in a round hole, and if it doesn't, then being able to release that and seeing rejection as just redirection. That is not anything about you or your character, it's just not meant to be. We can't control others, how they think, feel, and do. We can only control ourselves. So let's pull back on that chasing energy and wanting to change people, and instead meet them for who they are and decide who we want to be in relationship to what they are showing us. If they are showing us that they are not committed, and that is our desire, it's not aligning, how can we pull away from that in a detached way? Or how can we date from a space of, let me see if this person is the right person for me, and making a decision from that base. And if they then decide that you are not someone that they can see the connection progressing in some way, how can we release that from a space of love? Of like, I really genuinely wish you the best because I care about you. And if you are choosing to not be in my life, that's great. I wish you the best. And now that frees up space for me to go back within myself, heal anything that needs to be healed, learn anything that needs to be integrated, and continue moving forward in my life. So yes, this is such a juicy topic. One that I don't think I will ever stop learning from and implementing in my life. And if you do want to learn more and integrate more detachment in dating, specifically relationships, then I would love to invite you into the free masterclass that I'm hosting on September 22nd, where we're going to dive even deeper into this and start to explore how to actually implement that into your dating life, how to practice that healthy detachment so you can date from a space of confidence, feeling calm, feeling excited, and turning your dating life into a spiritual experience rather than something that is attached to an outcome or a certain result. So if that's something that excites you, I'd love to extend that invitation to you, my love, and click that link in the show notes and join me live as we continue to explore this topic. So excited to see you there. And for now, we are ending this beautiful episode all about detachment. I thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions at all, then feel free to reach out to me. If you loved this episode, I would love to ask you the favor and give me a rate and review wherever you listen to this podcast. It would mean the absolute world to me. And lastly, share this with someone that you feel like gets attached too quickly and falling into that trap of fantasizing and being infatuated. They need to hear this message too. Thank you so much, my loves, and I will see you in the next episode.
Thank you so much for joining me on the Relationship Rehab podcast. I hope that this episode has supported you in healing, growing, and evolving out of insecure attachment and unhealthy relationship patterns and into safe, authentic love with yourself and others. If you enjoyed the episode, it would mean the absolute world to me if you would just take a second to rate and review this podcast. Every rating and review from you guys counts, as it really helps this podcast to grow so it can reach more people who need to hear this content. And don't forget to connect with me on social media. Take a screenshot of this podcast episode, share it on your IG stories, and tag me at the.relationship.rehab with your biggest takeaway from the episode. I really do love reading them. See you back here next week for another episode on the Relationship Rehab podcast.